Ladies and gentlemen, friends of Viking, it is my pleasure to welcome you to one of the most popular travel destinations in the world. I am Vangelis, and yes, you guessed it, this episode is dedicated to the spectacular island of I'm pretty sure you've seen pictures like this, even if you've never been here before. Whitewashed houses, countless blue domed chapels perched on the cliffs, spectacular sunsets. Today though, this is not what I would like to share with you. What most of our visitors do not realize is that this amazing scenery is forged by fire and earthquake, unleashed by one of the most catastrophic volcanoes in the world. Today, I want to share a different perspective of the island, so I'm going to take a traditional kayak to the very heart of the majestic caldera of Santorini to show you around the volcano responsible for this ruggedly gorgeous scenery. Now, for all of you not paying attention in geology class, allow me to clarify the term caldera. Caldera is Spanish for cauldron, cooking pot. And to get a caldera, what you need is a very serious volcano. Volcanoes have magma stored in huge chambers, usually a couple of miles below surface. In a colossal event, magmatic chambers may empty completely. And in that case, you end up having a heavy volcanic dome with a huge void under it. If the dome collapses, then what you get is a caldera. If you ask any of the older folks where the volcano is, they will all point to the island of Nea Kameni, right in the middle of the caldera. Many of them have childhood memories of the last major eruption in the winter of 1950. So folks, I need to make it to the old port, to my kayak, and there are three options to get there. The 600 wide steps of the stone-paved trail, the much controversial donkey ride, or the cable car that runs all day, every day, accommodating cruise guests since 1982. I think I can afford to be a bit lazy. It takes no more than 20 minutes on these beautiful boats to reach the volcano. The views from the deck are simply stunning. If you take a careful look at the strata, you can see thick volcanic layers from all the major events of the last 100,000 years. So we're here in Nea Kameni. The trail that leads to the craters is clearly marked, and anyone reasonably fit can do it. Good shoes, a big bottle of water, sunblock are strongly advised, folks. I have no words to properly describe this. Feels like I'm walking on another planet. The name Nea Kameni means New Burned Island, as this landmass started to surface 500 years ago, and since then, half a dozen eruptions have added new lavas to the original island. It takes approximately 30 minutes to reach crater George, the twin crater of the eruption in 1870. If you look around, there is smoke and sulfur deposits everywhere with a typical rotten egg smell.
So here we are, approximately 400 feet above sea level. This is the highest point of Nea Kameni. I have no words to describe what I see all around. The views are simply breathtaking and beyond my poor descriptions.
From this amazing viewpoint you can see everything. The main island of Santorini, the small sister, the island of Thirassia, the White Island, Aspronissi, and the old volcanic island of Palea Kameni with the famous hot springs. It's so hard to believe that all these islands were one thousands of years ago. I could spend all day here, folks, but there is so much more to share with you. So on to the Caïque to check out the hot springs. The water is so amazing, but I have a story to finish, so it's time to go back to Santorini.
The big island that was here some 30,000 years ago was called Strongili, which is Greek for round. Just look at any map. You will immediately realize that Santorini, Thirassia, and Aspronissi form an almost perfect cycle. Now, pay attention, because this is where the story gets really interesting. Some 4,000 years ago, as a result of multiple eruptions, Strongili had taken the shape of a sesame bagel. Some major event took a good bite to the southwest, and the sea flooded the central part, forming a shallow lagoon that was no more than 100 feet deep. And right there, somewhere in the middle of the lagoon, you had a brand new volcanic dome, huffing and puffing. People didn't mind that. On the contrary, the location of the island was so privileged, right in the heart of the southern Aegean, between the Greek islands and Crete, controlling all trade routes, so that the island quickly becomes the absolute commercial hub in the second millennium BC, when these waters are ruled by Minoans. North to south, the island was inhabited, with a population of more than 20,000. There were fishing villages and hamlets everywhere, but the most developed residential area was to the south, by the village of Akrotiri. In the 1930s, a young archaeologist working in Crete finds pumice, volcanic rock, all along the northern coast. He believes the massive eruption of Santorini and the tsunami that follows is the reason why Europe's earliest civilization was wiped out. I'm talking about the Minoans in Crete. And decades later, in 1967, Professor Marinatos unearths in Santorini the prehistoric settlement by the village of Akrotiri, a Bronze Age site showing a lot of similarities to Minoans in Crete.
The excavation so far covers an area of 3 acres. It is protected under a very impressive roof, and it is frequently compared to its Italian cousin, Pompeii.
A visit to Akrotiri feels like peeping through the keyhole of time, as buildings and artifacts are preserved to an almost perfect condition.
Pottery for storage of precious commodities, olive oil, wine, grain, even snails from Crete, elaborate furniture, beds and tables, and some of the most exquisite frescoes of the Bronze Age were found here by Professor Marinatos. If you are a history lover, Akrotiri is a must, and you should always consider a visit to the prehistoric museum in Fira town, where the original frescoes are housed.
Akrotiri is frequently described as the Pompeii of Greece, as both towns were destroyed in big eruptions and buried under volcanic ash, which is a reason for their astonishing preservation. And although this is not a contest between ancient sites, I have to mention a couple of major differences between Akrotiri and Pompeii, just to make things very clear. First of all, I want you to consider how much earlier Akrotiri is, as it was destroyed 1,700 years prior to Pompeii.
Second, there are no human remains found in Akrotiri so far. We know the city was already evacuated at the time of this apocalyptic eruption. What happened to the people living here is wide open to investigation. Third, and maybe most important, there is no comparison whatsoever between the two volcanic events. My good friend Dimitri is driving me to one of the most secluded corners of this busy island. Here, we can see the catastrophic results of the super colossal eruption that destroyed Akrotiri.
To put it in simple words, volcanic eruptions are measured on a scale called VEI, Volcanic Explosivity Index, which basically takes into consideration the total volume of ejecta, lava, volcanic ash, rock, and so on. The more stuff comes out from the volcano's belly, the bigger the eruption. You're talking about VEI 1 or 2 when you have mild eruptions, and it goes all the way to VEI 8, which is what you get when Yellowstone blows. Needless to say, the scale is exponential. Buckle up, folks. Vesuvius erupting in 79 AD, burying Pompeii, or Mount St. Helens, if you prefer something more recent, were VEI 5, while Santorini's eruption in 1600 BC was VEI 7. Pompeii was buried under 15 to 20 feet of ash, something like this. And just look at what happened here. Some of the thickest ash deposits in Santorini reach a staggering 200 feet.
Win some, lose some, they say. The very eruption that destroyed everything back then is what created the most amazing terroir for world-class white wines.
First time I came to the island, I could not believe how the locals cultivate. Just look at this. The soil is nothing but volcanic ash, big chunks of pumice, and all kinds of igneous rock. that came from the volcano's guts in the mega-colossal eruption in the Bronze Age. As you can see, there is zero irrigation. And on windy days, ruthless winds unleash highly abrasive chunks of pumice that destroy whatever grapes are exposed to them. But local farmers know better. Come a bit closer. I want you to see something interesting. Centuries ago, someone had a brilliant idea to train the vines into wreaths, more commonly called baskets on the island. See how baby grapes are protected from wind and sun under the lush canopy.
North to south, Santorini is planted with vineyards. The dominant grape is the celebrated Assyrtiko, and I'm driving north to taste some of the island's best at a French boutique winery. Paris Sigalas is one of the most celebrated winemakers in Santorini, and his niece, Maria, is kind enough to show me around the premises. If you enjoy good wine, then a tasting at one of the numerous boutique wineries of the island is something you should not miss. I believe the time is right for a delicious local snack. Conveniently enough, my daughter's godfather, Chef George Stakias, owns a restaurant in Fira Town.
George uses the finest local ingredients, and these are some of the local recipes I want you to taste when you visit.
Dishes like fava, a split yellow pea puree, tomato kefteres, amazing vegetarian tomato fritters, and anything cooked with a spectacular local white eggplant are things that you must definitely try next time you visit. After a beautiful meal, as the sun is about to set, I'm on my way to visit my friend Dimitri, who's been driving around the island all day. Santorini has something for everyone. Ancient history, premium wines, beautiful food, dramatic vistas. I really hope you'll soon have the chance to visit this beautiful island on board a Viking cruise. Hope you've enjoyed watching this episode, folks. Stay safe.